Hello, it's Pyram King. I'm really excited to bring to you another Foundry tip. Today we're going to be talking about modules, and we're going to be focusing only on modules for kind of sound improvements and look and feels. These don't have anything to do really for player aids or special roller aids or GM screens or anything like that. It's just to enhance the look and feel of the game. And we thought we'd just cover these. Now I have a special guest with me, Carousel, who you probably already know. He's Ilianis, the Warlock in our Curse of Strahd campaign. How are you doing?
Good, good. Happy to be here.
Thanks very much. Now, one of the things, he's also a dungeon master in Foundry, and he helps me out tremendously in these games, checking our modules out, testing them. We just upgraded to 8.6. We've been testing out some modules, and we thought, hey, this is a really good time to go through some of these modules and figure out which ones we're going to do. So we're going to talk about the sound ones. We're going to go over two sound ones first. The first one's pretty straightforward, and it's just Ambient Doors. I think this is just a kind of dumb if you don't add this one, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it's a really good one to make sure that you and your players know if you're opening a door or not.
Yeah, one thing I like about it is if you have a locked door, if you click on it, it just jingles and stuff, so they know that door is locked in there, and they can try it. It's a great sound aid for the game. I'm going to put links down below for every single module we're talking about, and we're going to be demonstrating these obviously in version 8.6, let you know if they're working or not working in there. The next one we have is SoundBoard, and I think everybody uses it a little bit differently. I tend to use it only for sound effects. I'll just demonstrate them here. And there's a bundle that you can get with this, with some built-in sounds in here. Do you make your own sounds, by the way, or are you using just the bundles?
I mostly just use the soundboard. I try sometimes, but it just ended up sounding like someone strangling a chicken or something. So I really love these the soundboard here. It gives a little bit of extra sound effects to your games.
Yeah, let me throw one of them in here so you can hear. Here's a. Now I made my own sounds. This is my own soundboard here. We just used a couple of these the other night in our campaign. So I have the monster growl and beast. So kind of my rule of thumb in here is I just use the soundboard for sound effects. And if it's 1 to 5 seconds is about as much as I want to have on my soundboard. So if I'm going to be using kind of background or ambient sound, I'm going to either run that off my playlist, like my weather effects sound, like I had the weather here, winter weather over here. So when we're listening to that, it's just I have that just playing in the background. I can turn that up. That just plays in the background. But the soundboard's great if you're going to play individual creature sounds or you want to use sounds as cues. So that's by Soundboard Blitz. There's some sound bundles in there. You can create your own favorite list in there, build your own sound libraries in here. Definitely worth checking out and playing with. So those are the two soundboards, two sound improvements that we wanted to talk about. Those do work both in 8.6, no problems so far. So let's move on to visual enhancement, and the first one is Dice So Nice. I think everybody's already familiar with this one in here. Let's just take a look here, and I just want to see on Manage Modules, Dice So Nice. Yes, it's been updated. I'm running 8.6 right now. You can see up here in the corner 8.6. And why don't you go ahead and show them what your dice. You go ahead and roll your dice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll roll right now. Just a simple D20 over there. Now you can roll a bunch of.
One of the things in here that's really nice about it is you can design your own dice. So these are my dice, and it's nice because everybody can see whose dice are what. You get to know whose dice they are, and you do that in here in the configure setting. If we go to Dice So Nice, you can go in here and just design your dice in here. your look and feel of your dice. These are my dice here. You can do all kinds of metal textures and coloring in here. So these are just the ones that I made. Kind of like a metallic material with a kind of a purple and gold edges or yellow edges, and it gives everybody kind of a unique look and feel. And there's some things in here that you can enable in here. What's this? Enable 3D dice on roll tables, inline rolls. So disable 3D dice on NPC rolls. So you can set this up pretty much the way you want to. The way I usually just have this is just for players or DM roles and not necessarily everything. So it's a really fun module to have, and I think it adds some flavor and to the game.
Now, if all the free amount of customization that you can get from all those dice is not enough for you and your players, there are lots of other Patreon and other dice makers out there that is, especially if you're with the Forge, that you can buy, and you can grab those dice designs and you can add it into your game as well.
Oh, really? I did not know. They also, by the way, if you're running on a lower end machine, you can turn off some of the performance features in here if it's causing your machine some difficulties. And there's some additional special effects that you can have in here and some other preferences. So that's cool. I didn't know you can go out and purchase through Patreon members your own dice.
Yes, I believe one of the ones that has a lot of it right now is, I believe his name is The Rollsmith. He has a bunch of dice right now. He has a free one out for Pride Month, and yes, you can buy a bunch of those, and it's all fully integrated into Dice So Nice. So you use those modules together.
Really, really cool. Well, remind me of that. I'll put a link down in the description below so we can include that in here. So let's go to the next one. This is one that I use, and as a player in our game, I use a lot, and that is FXMaster. And I'll just show you I don't think there's much in the configuration setting over here that's really done right inside the game. Yeah, so it's just, you turn it on here in your configurations, but let me show you what it is. It adds this box over here like a magic wand, and the primary thing I use it for is weather effects. So you can see right here in the background, I've got this battle map. Our players right now are up in Salinka Pass, and it's really cold. There's a lot of snow. So I have a snowstorm going. You can see I set the density and speed up high and the scale of it. I also have clouds. You can see the clouds kind of moving through here. But it has all these really cool features. You can have bats and crows and fog, different types of rain, that really, I think, adds this immersion into this. So I primarily use it just for weather effects, but it has some other features. You want to mention some of the other features on here?
Oh yeah, you can add effects that you can just pop up on demand. I believe if you go into the custom area there, you can some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about later on with the JB2A animations, you can have them pop out on your screen on demand to kind of show your players. You can have a little bit of blood splatter over there, a fireball if you want.
Right, so this is, if you did I just did this manually, so this is just a special effect that I just clicked on here and then click on the screen and kind of drag it where I want it to point to.
Exactly, those would be great for certain traps if you want to show off your players triggering a fireball trap, for example. If you didn't want to go through all the automation with that, and there are ways to do that to automatically when a player steps on a tile, but that's for more advanced stuff later on.
Okay, and I noticed the JB2A stuff popped up in here, but you're going to go through that and talk about how that works coming up here. In fact, that's the next thing we're going to be talking about, JB2A. Why don't we first talk about what JB2A is, and then walk us through, because you're the one that really helped me set this up for the automated animation. So we're talking about two modules first here. We're talking about this automated animations right here, and that goes with JB2A, this one here. And I don't know, is there anything in the config files that we need to set up for those automated animations?
Automated animations. There are some things that you might want to go through. Like what I prefer is having it playing animation on hits or misses. What it does is basically instead of just hitting the target, it might hit. If you hit the target, it will hit the token straight on. But if you miss, it might veer off to the side and completely miss the target. So it kind of adds that little bit of
So I can
realism to
click
it.
this on here.
Yes, I have that, and the token magic effects as well. I do.
And token magic effects. All right. And we're going to be
Now,
talking about token magic.
automated animations is not directly related to JB2A and their Patreon. It is made by Autogon, and he's just a community member that loves helping out and making it much more convenient for everybody to use JB2A's assets and their animations.
Okay, so this is a separate module, but it really helps enhance or automates the JB2A graphics animation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to save the changes here. Oh, we're going to just go down quickly to JB2A. Is there anything in here? I have the free pack. Why don't you just mention something about JB2A? I'm going to bring up their website here, their Patreon.
Sure. JB2A came up several months ago, and they just started and kind of wowed the community with their animated assets, animated spell effects, and they've been providing us with free assets that you can use, and you can see in their Patreon as well. They have much more different variations, different colors, animated spiritual weapons, and all that stuff to kind of enhance the feel and the look of your spells and your players.
Why don't we go ahead and do one of these things here? So why don't you just do one first? Why don't you do an attack maybe with your Eldritch Blast on this giant goat here, so they can see what we're talking about, and then I'll open up your character sheet, and then you can tell me a little bit how that's set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you all know, play Warlock. You always rely on that reliable Eldritch Blast, and having it show off in your screen, and as you can see that it missed and it veered off just a little bit to the side over there instead of striking the target.
Why don't you shoot him
a
again?
couple more.
There you go.
This one hits him straight on, and yes, so that automatically any token that you target, it will automatically fire off to that token.
So just to go through that again, and I'm going to do this from my side because you're logged in. I'm clicking on your guy, and then I'm going to hit Alt and click on the goat. And when I'm selecting your guy here, we have this Eldritch Blast. I'm just going to click on it from this screen here and just watch it take off. There you go. It's rolled the dice and it's hit the goat. So I'm going to open this up, and why don't we talk about what we did here. So I'm going to go here to your spell book and right click on here, edit spell. And where do we set this up in here?
Yes, so automated animation adds a tab on every spell or inventory or feature that you have. It is a AA tab, which basically gives a UI for you to add animations, and it auto recognizes assets from the JB2A assets. So if you have their Patreon, it recognizes those as well, or if you only have their free version, it recognizes those. So right now, it kind of, and it also has, most of the time it works, auto recognition of what the spell is. So right now it has Eldritch Blast, it recognizes that name, so it shows you a default setting for a color. So if you hover over choose a color there, most of the time you'll see a color there if it is recognized as one of the corresponding spells. Otherwise it will be blank. For now, with the free assets, we only have the purple version. But if you JB2A has premium assets where you have dark red Eldritch Blast, green, blue, purple, all kinds of different colors that you can add.
And we can take a look really quickly at what those are. They're right in here, correct? These are all the the free ones that we have in here. So if I open up this folder, it kind of shows me what those little animations will look like, correct?
Oh yes, those are just a little bit of the free ones. Those are the ones that you can plop down with the FXMaster. You can see a lot more of the free assets if you open up your tile browser, and you can go through the modules themselves. Depending on which hosting provider you are, you might be able to look into it. And actually, another cool way to do it is actually if you click on Override Animations over there.
Okay.
And it shows you all the different animation types there that you can explore. Those are all the available ones. And
why don't we do one together for the goat? Because I don't want to screw up your character here. So I'm going to open up the goat.
That's fine.
And we'll because I've created this goat. This is a creature that they just actually killed in the last session. And which one do we want to do? The ram or the stomp, or which one?
Let's try to do the stomp. Right,
okay, we're going to do the stomp. So I'm going to open this up and edit this here, and I go over, click on AA. It has no animations for it, so we're going to click Override, and this menu comes up there. Which one would you recommend me use here? A creature attack or?
I would recommend choosing melee damage.
Okay.
And maybe, since it's a stomp, the goat's kind of rearing its back, so maybe a flurry of blows would be a good representation of that.
Okay, I only have one color. This is the free one. I don't have the paid for one, so we're gonna see how this works here. And physical attack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got that sitting there. I've clicked the override and I've selected these features here, and we're gonna give this goat attack. We're gonna attack him here with a stomp. So I'm gonna click on him, select him. I'm gonna unselect the goat, double click on the goat, and we're gonna see how this looks. Let's just zoom in here and see. Sorry about this. We're gonna stomp on you real quickly, see what happens here.
That's all right.
Okay, so the dice kind of covered it up, but I'll just give it one more click here so you can see this animation here. Boom. So we had this little animation pop up there, but we can go in there and select different animations. It might be really cool to go to their website. I'll put a link down to their Patreon so if you want more types of animation. But some of the ones were really cool. I know the one I really like is our monk, Elvin Kari's. Her monk attack is really cool looking. I think I have her on the screen up here.
Why don't you bring her in and show off? They have a lot of basic weapon attacks that you can show off as well.
So these are all the free ones that we're going to take a look. So here's Elvin and her monk with her nice spear, and she's gonna attack. I'll bring her up here, and here is her dragon spear. So let's take a look at her dragon spear attacking the giant goat here. Oh, she missed there, but it's really cool looking. I really like the. Oh, there she hit the goat there, and the goat took some damage. So that's really cool. Oh, and she has the unarmed strike too, which is pretty nice too. I think
it has been set up yet, but
maybe that one hasn't been set up. Maybe this one has. Yeah, that one has.
There you go.
So she has her unarmed strikes with the blows there. So no, it's really neat to have the different FX. So that's automated animations that's inside the character sheets that we're talking about setting it up, and then it's JB2A's graphics that you're seeing. So they're working together on this. So let's move on to the next one here. I'm going to talk about community lighting, and really they've done such an amazing job with lighting already. But Blitz has made this really nice by adding. Let me just get rid of these lights here. Some more lighting features here. And if you watch some of my videos on lighting, I love to do lighting a lot. So what is community lighting? It adds this feature down here with lighting animations. So you have this normal list up here. These are the normal lighting animations that you have. The community blitz lighting adds all these other different types of lighting effects in here that you can add. And this is just expands your selections in here. One of the ones that I've been using that works pretty well, and I use this in Lester Hill, is the lightning effect. So if I update this, you'll see this flicker on and off in here. I don't know if I turn it on or not. Let me just double check. Yeah, lightning. There we go. So you'll see it blink on and off. I don't know if I turn the animation speed up. There it goes. It should be blinking.
You might have to change the color.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Let's check that out. There we go. I just saw it blinking. Make sure my the darkness level's fine. So I don't know why it's not blinking. It was blinking earlier. You should see blinking right here.
It might be being covered by the snow, so it's hard to see. If you want to move on to a different map that has that,
yeah, they have some other ones in here that's pretty cool. Like if you want, obviously, Star Disco Light. You know, you've got a disco light thing in here. I actually, you know, it's really I've done this one. I'll just show you what I do with this sometimes. I like to use the starlight. This works really well, by the way. This is just my own little idea, kind of cheesy. But I'll take it down here and I'll make it really slow animation and animation intensity, and I'll take out the bright light to 0 and change up the secondary color to more like a yellow and update it. And then what I do is I'll put this like right up against the fireplace. So it looks like a, you know, firelight kind of, you know, coming out of the fireplace. Do you know what I'm saying? Really slowly.
Yeah, it could also be good for like maybe introducing a D like NPC or something.
Yeah.
A classic entrance.
What's cool about the lighting, and some people don't realize this, is if I click on Ilianis, for instance, or Leah here, and I want Leah to have some kind of special lighting component, I can just click on her toggle, and under vision I can add this, you know, maybe she's super special and we're going to give her some disco lighting, and we'll make the light, you know, red, and I'll do 5 and 1 here and update this, and now she has some disco lighting on on her. So you can add these lighting effects that just are attached to the character. So maybe there's magical or something, and I've done that in a couple of the games and a couple of sessions, which is pretty fun to add it onto the actual player here. So the next one we're going to talk about is token magic, and I'm going to let you cover this one because you're kind of the expert in all the magic stuff.
All right. Well, that means part of being a warlock, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so token magic effects, usually with the SRD spells that you guys are provided in the 5e system, or whenever you say cast something like Burning Hands, all you're going to see is something like this.
Right.
A template with a blank template with a showing how many squares it's going to be affected. Now with token magic effects, what it does is basically it fills in that template area with animated graphics of maybe flames, depending on the damage type, and it automatically recognizes it depending on what damage that spell deals. So for example, if I do something like Flaming Sphere here, and I bring out a flaming area here, it's gonna look something like this.
Oh, really cool! Wow.
So you can have an actual flaming sphere on the table, and you can move that around like you can with any template, and you can have a visual indicator of where that thing is, and you know where to not stand, and as you end your turn. Now with the other effects, you can have something like cone of cold, for example, like a really big cone of cold here, and it's gonna show a really big area
Oh wow.
of iciness. Now you can also customize depending on what type of spell it is. It can recognize it. For example, I have set up Fairy Fire to show off little fireflies when I cast it in the area that they are in.
Oh yeah, you guys were. Kai was doing this yesterday. It was really cool. Yeah, I really thought that was really cool. It looks really nice. If I click on you and it's dark, you can kind of see them, and then those little lights there. If I make the background, let me just make the background a little bit darker. Here we go. They kind of really pop up there. Well, we're on the white background, but you can see them over the trees there too. I really like the fairy fire. It looks really cool. We'll just move the goat in here. He'll get a little irritated being in the fairy fire. So let's talk really quickly. How did you set this? This is set up in the config file, right?
Yep.
So,
Most of the stuff you won't have to configure, and it just automatically how it is in the default in the token magic effects. So you just have to install it, and most of the stuff is already done for you. It will be on the under template settings. And like you see there, it says the categories. Those are the ones that's already default. So you see acid, it's green and showing watery surfaces. Now, if you want more customizations, like I did, I go to overrides and add, like for example, they have their default stinking cloud. It adds a smoky area, and I added fairy fire there, and you can kind of just play around there. See what fits, see what's a nice effect that you can add.
yeah, it really. We've been adding this lately, and it really enhances the game. Instead of just having a box there, you get to see this. Kai's been casting, bonfire, fairy fire, these cones. Oh, you know what? You did the wall of fire. Can you throw up a wall of fire? A
Oh yeah,
firewall,
absolutely.
so they can see that. There we go. Which is really cool because you can now have got this actual visual firewall here. You know exactly where it is on your map. I thought that was really, really cool. Okay, let's talk about Tidy Sheet here a little bit. So I'm going to bring up your character here, and I'm going to turn off. I'm going to go to the normal default character sheet right here on here and save this and open this up. So this is what your character sheet normally looks like in D&D Beyond, and I'm also going to bring this up for the creature NPC over here because there's something on here I want to show you that I think is kind of important. So we're gonna. So this here is what your sheet normally looks like, but when we switch over to our tidy sheet, and I have that set as the default. We can make it in dark background or light background. But let's talk about a couple things in here that you like, and I'll point out a couple things that I think are important.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Tidy5e Sheet, it just adds a couple more other features. For example, if you in the default area, it doesn't really show exhaustion tracker, inspiration. Now, if you hover over the portrait there, it will show you, or I don't know if you have it turned off on your end, but it shows you can put in exhaustion levels, your inspiration. You can have your rest there as well. You can click on that right on the page. It just kind of makes it all kind of minimized and nice. And it also allows you to, it adds a little bit of a journal as well, tab over there where players can take notes. Don't look at my notes. Those are my super secret notes. And yeah, it just adds. I think it adds a nice look and feel to your sheet. It's more of an alternative, and especially those that prefer dark mode, so as it's not blinding your eyes.
I believe the dark mode that's set up in the configure file, correct?
Yes, and that's set up individually as players. So if you still prefer the light mode, you can definitely stay in that one. Your players can choose, so they don't have to have the same preference as you as the GM.
Here it is. Oh, Tidy UI. We're talking about Tidy Sheet. Here we go. Sorry. So there's color mode, or I have light and dark. I have the dark set, but players can set this up as well, and then you can set a couple various things in here, including you can animate and do some different things in here as well. Setting up here, show player name options. There's some other options in here for your tidy sheet. So there's quite a few things you can do in here.
Yeah, I like turning on toggle empty traits and hide exhaustion.
Toggle empty
inspiration
character
on 0.
traits. Okay.
Yeah.
And which one? What was the other one?
Hide exhaustion and inspiration tracker on 0.
Okay.
So what that does is basically it's if you save that and look at my sheet again, you see at the bottom there under dark vision and celestial and common, all that stuff. Usually there it shows all the empty traits as being empty, whereas this one it just gives a toggle, and you can click show and edit empty traits there. So basically it just hides all the stuff that I don't have access to anyways. It just kind of makes it nice and neat.
Oh yeah, it really makes it organized. So one of the things over here, this is one of the NPCs, and you might see that I talk a lot about randomizing hit points. So if I have and I'll just give you an example here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab some creatures, and I'll just grab a bunch of boar, and I'll just drag them onto the screen. So I have some boar here, but I want each one of my boar to be slightly different. So you can see they each have 11 hit points. And what I'm going to do is Tidy Sheet puts this little die right here. So for each one, I can click and open each one and just change the dice. And I can do this before the encounter, or drag them out here and just change them. So what I like to do, now they all have different hit points, it helps avoid the unconscious metagaming. So, and I do this, I know when players just do this, like, oh, I've killed the first one, it has 14 hit points, so they all have 14 hit points. But by just using this little die here, I can just change this on the fly. I can even change it on this creature here. So if I switch the sheet back over to the tidy sheet, which is my default sheet, now I can just click on this, and you can see every time I roll this for this creature, it's going to have slightly different hit points. And that always keeps the players a little bit on their back foot. Even though they know the creature, they might subconsciously be metagaming it or just figure about their damage. This will just slightly throw them off a little bit. And it has. I've noticed a couple times where you guys were fighting one creature and it took you a long time to take it down. And I remember Oleg saying, oh, this is going to be hard, the next one. And one of the players just kills him really quickly because it was like a 20-point hit point difference. And so that can really change a little bit of variety in your game. So let's move on to Ernie's UI. So I'll just show you that right here really quick in Ernie's UI. And this, I get this question a lot. What UI are you running? And so Ernie's UI, I'm gonna just turn it off for right now so you guys can see the difference here. Here, manage modules. I'm gonna turn off Ernie's UI. Click it off. I'm gonna save module settings. It's going to take a little while. I'm on Forge, so it's got to refresh my Forge connection here. Forge on Wi-Fi on a laptop. Genius. He's a genius. Wi-Fi laptop. There we go. So this is what your normal UI looks like, right? You got all your maps up here. I got a lot of them loaded up here. All these icons. And one of the things in here that frustrates me is this. So for instance, I have a lot of maps for Slinka Pass, but look at, they're just these big, they look nice and they're a little hard to read, but I don't want to have to scroll through my 100 Slinka Pass maps. So what I want to do is clean up and tighten up my UI. So by selecting manage modules over here, and I want you to pay attention to this over here specifically. If I go over here and I click on Ernie's modern UI and save settings, It really changes the look and feel. It tightens and cleans everything up for me. And for me, I'm running on a laptop. I do have a second screen here. I think this is a 24-inch screen, but it really helps tighten up and organize my screen just a little bit better. So here we are under Tidy UI, and you'll notice the first thing you'll notice is everything up here is grayed out unless I roll over it. Same thing with this over here. So it does this, which I really like. I think this is fairly new for version 8.6. But if we look over here, check this out. I go over here and select a pass. Look at that. There's all my maps. I can just access them very quickly. I don't have to scroll. I can read them easily. And there's some other features in here. So let's just talk about those really quickly. In module settings, we'll go over here to Ernie's UI. So there's some basic things in here: compact mode, subtle layout, the opacity, but there's a whole bunch of other things in here. So you want to talk about some of those things?
Yeah, sure. They have certain presets there that you can change the look and feel of the of your UI. You can have it be more dark mode. They have a couple of presets there, and you can completely customize each one depending on your look and feel. What's nice is, and you can also change the font as well, so you have a bunch of different options there if you are trying to explore some different fonts, and you can change the size and everything. And what's great about this is a lot of it's completely customizable, and your players also have the option to set their own UI. So not everyone has to have the same UI settings. So if the players don't like it being hoverable, it being hidden with the subtle layout, they can do so. If they don't like it being so small, they can toggle that as well. So you got lots of options to play around with, and it's super customizable.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, we've been running this since we started the game back in September of 2020. So this is one of the first modules actually I've been running as Ernie's Modern UI. Actually, that was your recommendation. Okay, the next one is a visual aid that I personally really like because it helps me out, and we're talking about a turn marker here. And this is a nice visual aid because it really helps us visually see whose turn it is. So it's pretty simple, and I'm just going to go here and open it up for you. Here's the turn marker, and technically what happens here, I'm going to go ahead and begin a combat encounter. And I'm just going to throw these guys in combat, highlight them all, and put them all in combat. And what this does is, and I'll just close this out really quick and then come back to it, is once I begin the combat and hit begin combat, and we'll just roll for some of these people so we know, and then we'll start combat here. You'll see this circle around the person. It also is going to put a message in here and says there's a turn marker here, there's a message, and it's this person's turn. If we go to the next person's turn, it's just going to go and highlight the next person here. So this is a really simple module. It's a great visual aid because if you have a lot of players, or especially for me, I'm looking for whose player's turn it is. I don't maybe want to read over here, or I have something open up differently over here, or maybe I'm looking at a scene or something. This is just a really easy visual aid. Now there's some little fun stuff with this that you can play with that I kind of like. I know it's silly, but you can go ahead and select the different types of turn markers. I mean, they have like this one here, it changes it to look different. You have the believer, so you can make your turn markers look different. I don't forget what we're running in here. I think this one, nope. The Cosmos ones. I'll just leave it on that one. I'll just hit save settings, so we have that one now. And so now when you move through the different turns, you have the nice turn marker there. So I like that one. Now the next one we're going to talk about is one that you got me, which I really like because I've emptied out our chat window. So, and let me in this combat encounter, and I want you to go ahead and just type something chat something in there in the window, and so it'll pop up.
Yep. One second.
No,
I had to refresh my page.
I'll type in something for Leah. There we go. I have, by the way, I set Ernie's to be gray background. I can change that out if you want me to. So I'll just go back to Ernie's and make it light color settings. And I'm going to go to design and go to kind of Foundry mode. Hit save. There we go. Everything will have white background. So this adds not just their name, but adds their token in the actual chat window. So you can actually see in the chat window who's chatting. So let me go over to the configure here, and this is chat portrait. It's really simple. It's not a really super big deal, but you can make the border a square, a circle. I have it set to circle. The portrait size, change the color of the border, use a token image if you want to. It's just really simple, but what I tend to like is rather than seeing the name, it also gives you this visual image that matches the player character in there. So if Ileana's types something in there, see his, and I have it set right now, so it's not his token image, it's actually his player image avatar in here. So we can see who that is, and it's just nice sometimes to visually see it. Now if I want it bigger, I can actually, can make it 100 and it'll just be a lot bigger. Just do a quick refresh. So now I've got these huge or slow refresh because I'm currently on Wi-Fi, so it's been a little slow. There we go.
Now, chat portrait hasn't been updated in quite a while, but we as you can see, it is working with 0.86 and 0.87.
Yeah, so you can make this as, it seems to be working, no problem. You can make this as big or small as you want, chat portrait. I'm gonna shrink it back down to a realistic size here. So the last one we have on is nameplates, custom nameplates. And one of the things that I do a lot in my game, especially for NPCs, for my players, is I want them to know who they're talking about. So if it's a named NPC, like they're in a tavern or they're talking with somebody or meeting somebody, I like it when they roll over the player and that you have this name below it. And you can do that by when you right click on here and select on the icon, you can say display name hover by anyone. So I set that if it's somebody in the town, an NPC, I always have that hover by anyone. And you can see the people's name here. Now, the problem is sometimes that font's not the right font or not the right look or feel. So there's a thing in here called, where is it? Custom nameplates. There it is right there. So you can go in there and change the font and the color and everything.
And the size as well.
And the size as well. So if you need it bigger or smaller, which is really nice, especially if you're someone like me that doesn't have really good eyes and you want something, maybe you want to go with something a little different here and make it a little bit bigger font, 32, and you want the font color to be, blue, then you hit save on here and save changes.
And then you have to refresh.
I gotta do a refresh here. I'll do a really fast, high-speed Wi-Fi refresh. Yeah.
Now my problem with the default font that the system has is that for me it's too large.
Oh, I think I picked Klingon font.
It looks like it's a infernal font.
Yeah, I picked Klingon. I'm just kidding. It looks like Klingon. I'm sure the players are gonna love that. So let me fix that. Going to Klingon font. This is the wrong game. Custom nameplates. Yes. I think
I would stick with the first 7, I believe.
Which one
Because
did we?
the first 7, one of the first 7, the rest are extra fonts added by the polyglot module.
Oh, right. That's correct.
If you want to show off what default one, I believe it's Signica 24. That's what the default font is.
Yeah, and I usually use like some kind of gold color because it that always usually shows up on a nice background here. So let's go back to that so we don't have the Klingon. I know it's not Klingon font. I'm just making a joke because every time I see kind of fonts like that, it just reminds me of Klingons.
Yeah, it what it basically does is it adds a little bit of customization to your game. So yeah, with for example, for Irvin there and Jan, the fonts are so huge it kind of like goes around the tokens. Whereas I prefer personally the Modesto Condensed, where it's all nice and tight. And
Yeah, they just have their last name in there too. In their token image, which I could take out. It's funny he doesn't. You know what? He doesn't have it in his actor's name. I should put it in his actor's name. That's just weird. I think that's kind of my fault. There you go. Oh. Here we go. So now he's just. Oh, he's gonna be. Yeah, so you can just use 2 names or last names in there. So that's pretty much it. These are just.
did you
Oh yeah.
did you want to talk about Perfect Vision?
Oh yeah, perfect vision. Why don't we do that really quick too? So let me bring that up here. I'm sorry, forgot about that. Perfect vision. So perfect vision is another one that I think is, especially if you're running D&D 5e, it really helps out a lot here. So we have perfect vision. Vision rules are set to D&D 5e. The monochrome vision and everything. So you want to go over that a little bit? I'll click on you.
Yeah, so basically in D&D 5e, as you know, dark vision, almost everybody has dark vision, but what perfect vision does is it basically makes it more closely to what dark vision actually does for the vision of your character. And what it does is it sets that token's vision to however many feet of dim light that they can see into monochrome vision, which is so if they're in darkness, they can see around them, but it will be in black and white. So it kind of helps with that a little bit more of immersion with what actual people with dark vision will see. Now, this can be helpful if you want to, kind of encourage your players to use more torches to see around if you have splatters of blood on the ground, but they can't really tell if it's blood since it's only in black and white. So they would need to maybe use a torch or something, or bring up a lantern. And you can also do little bits of fun things where you can add puzzles that require you to see different colors. So
That's a really
that
good.
can be
It's a really good point. We were doing this in the cave, so we had dark vision, and then one of the players had light, and so and you can just click on a player and then give them, I think it's right here, the torch. So now they have a torch on them, or maybe they have a magic light, and that changes the color around them, like I did before, like when I did it with Leah here. I can just click on her vision and just give her just normal dim vision light. It's going to change around her to color. So versus her normal dim vision. So it's some different ways you can override that, if to as Ileana says, to enhance that mechanic. They're using a torch or have some magic light, and now they're able to see in color versus in just black and white, right? So here is this perspective of what he sees. So if he moves around, his This is all he can see. You can see the shadows and stuff like that. In fact, I'm just going to do this really quickly here. I'm just going to reset the fog of war on here and re-click on you. So now this is all dark, and you can see what he's explored and what he hasn't explored with dim vision. Now dim vision, the perfect vision is going to change because I was showing you in the configuration, I've set the darkness level to anything above dark, which is going to automatically click in the dim vision. Now, if you're not playing D&D 5e, what's really cool in dim vision is you can set your dim vision, for instance, to like green. So if you're playing like some kind of military game and you want to have night vision, you can make it all green, the monochrome looking green in here on your perfect vision. So you can have the monochrome version, like let's say, I have it just black, but let's say we were playing, in some kind of combat, thing. So now it looks like when he's seeing everything, he's got like night vision goggles on. So you could actually do that if you wanted to, if you're playing some kind of different type of game in here, but I just have mine set to, I think it's just to black. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to put a link to all the modules we covered. I'll put there's timestamps down below as well as links to JB2A. You had another person in there that you had a link to that you recommended. Do you remember who that was?
For the dice, it was the Rollsmith.
Yeah, I'll put both links in descriptions. Hey, thanks very much for joining me with me on this and helping me out. We're going to be doing some more of these modules. Just focusing one maybe just on macros and behind the scenes, one on aids for game masters, and one on aids just for players. I'm running just so many modules, as you can see on here. Just going through them in order would just be kind of crazy. So I'm trying to segment them out and also talk about specifically ones that we've tested for 8.6, which I'm currently running on. So this is Parm King, and I hope all your rolls are critical 20s. You want to say adios, sir?
Yeah, happy to be here. If anyone is watching and following our campaign, we'll see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday. Thanks a lot.